Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Downer, and thank you for joining us once again on Roots to Renovation. I am here with Jody Peterson. He is the founder and CEO of Peterson Roofing, along with Ryan Peterson, his faithful sidekick, who is the COO of Peterson Roofing. How are we doing today, gentlemen?
Doing great.
Doing good.
Perfect. So today we are going to talk about the duration of roofs and basically just why do some roofs last 30 years and other roofs fail 10 to 12 years. So that's kind of what we're going to be covering today. So the big question, and we're going to get into depth on this, but just kind of give us an overall view. Maybe Jody should take this one. Just kind of give us an overview of what are the factors that determine how long a roof actually lasts and what role does installation, quality, ventilation, and maintenance play.
Yeah, you just touched on all of the points there. Installation, probably the biggest reason why roofs would fail. Improper nailing. If you're not nailed in the right spot, it voids the manufacturer's warranty. The shingles will blow off anytime you get a storm. I mean, the shingles we use are rated to 130 miles an hour. If they're installed correctly, if they're not, you could probably 50, 60 mile an hour winds, they would blow off. So that's the big factor. Ventilation, that's a big factor as far as the shingles not heating up from the underside in the attic space, getting too hot and burning out the shingles. That would make them dry out prematurely.
Yep.
Possibly defective shingles. That's another thing you don't see as much nowadays because manufacturing processes are computerized. So the human factor is kind of taken out of that. So you do see it occasionally, but not much.
Sure.
So those are probably the biggest factors. And then you might say maintenance, although maintenance isn't going to make it fail prematurely. You might have some leak issues or something that pop up here and there.
Yep.
So those are probably the four main things that would cause a roof to fail before its time.
All right, well, let's kind of dig into this. So one of the first things that you touched on was installation. So how much does installation quality actually affect the lifespan of a roof, even when the shingle qualities themselves are really high quality?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll take this.
All right.
So, roof that I am in the process of bidding right now. It's not that old of a roof. I want to say it's maybe 15 years old, but I have done repairs on this roof over the years, replaced some skylights at one point. They should have been replaced when the roof was done, but the homeowner decided, we'll go ahead and reuse these skylights, and the skylights themselves failed. But other issues with the roof itself, the shingles, lots of shingles blowing off. So big swaths of shingles, and you know why? Because it was a bad installation. So the nails were not put in the right spots. The way the roof was laid out, it's like they tried to buy less shingles, so they stretched out the courses so that shingles are not put in the right places, which means the nails aren't in the right places.
Was the quality of the shingle pretty decent, though?
It's the same type of shingle that we use. So it's the Owens coring duration. And here's another thing about this shingle, Mike. You look around on this roof and the granules are coming off big time.
Okay.
So it's missing lots of granules. And I think one of the main reasons is the ventilation is not good. And coincidentally, maybe not coincidentally, this roof has two different kinds of vents together. So, and this is, maybe we've talked about this in another podcast, but it has a row of box vents. I want to say 7 or 8 of them. It's a hip roof. So it has these up near the top of the hip, and it also has a row of a ridge vent right next to it. And that's not something they want you to do. All the manufacturers don't allow that. In fact,
the reason why, let me interject, is
Go
the
ahead.
vents will just vent from themselves. You have a circular area of ventilation, one vent pulling from a different style of vent, when the ideal situation is the vents are pulling from the soffits, pulling air up from the bottom to the top and venting at the top.
Right. So this great shingle, Owens coring duration, let's say these people were going to file a claim on this. Owens Corning would come out and go, no, it's just bad installation. Whoever you had do this, there's all kinds of issues here. It's not the right type of vents. The shingles aren't in the right spots, yada, yada. So good shingle, very bad installation. And now got to put a new roof on.
All right, so you were talking about ventilation. Why is attic ventilation such an important factor in how long a roof lasts?
You want me to take this?
Well,
you got
heat build up in the summertime.
Okay.
makes the shingles from the underside, moisture problems in the wintertime. So you're not venting out in the winter, you're not venting out the warm, moist air that would come up from the house. You're always going to get a little bit, go up into your attic. And if there's no way for that warm, moist air to escape, it's going to condense on the underside of the plywood or the decking, whatever type of decking you have, which will soften the wood, which will cause the nails to let loose on the roof, which will cause the wind to, or let the wind just blow the shingles off. So you got to get that warm, moist air out of the attic space in the winter, and you got to get that very super hot, 140-degree heat out of that attic space in the summertime, or you're baking.
Absolutely. No, that makes sense. So let's move on to, I know the ventilation and the heat and everything else, but what role does the underlayment play in preventing leaks, and how should homeowners think about synthetic underlayment compared to felt underlayment?
Sure.
Well, I know a little bit about this too.
Talk to me.
I've seen roofs with no underlayment on it before. Many years ago, you just tear off a roof, and there's nothing under there. You wonder, how did this thing even survive this long? But the difference between what they call felt, really it's tar paper. Some people call it tar paper. And recently, what would you say now, 10, 12, 15 years, maybe they've had something called synthetic felt, which advantages to that. It's like a, a thinner tarp almost, or like a house wrap for vertical walls where you put siding over it. It's a lot stronger than felt paper. Felt paper, you can just take it and just rip it because it's an organic material just saturated with tar. Where synthetic felt it's a manufactured product. It's out of some type of polymer, and you can't rip it. If it's exposed to the sun, you can expose it to the sun for 6 months and it's still warranted. So let's say you're doing new construction home, and you want to get all this felt on, you're not quite ready to shingle it, you can go ahead and put that on, but you have to install it with cap nails. You could leave it out there 3 to 6 months and it's not going to be a problem. It's lighter weight, so it's easier to install than the old tar paper. Not that there's anything wrong with tar paper. It's tried and true, but there are some downsides to it where it can tear easier. When you're installing a roof and you're stepping on this tar paper, say it's a steeper roof, it might have a tendency to rip out from under your feet. So there's a safety factor where the synthetic, you don't have that issue because you're putting it on with cap nails. You can't just pick it up and tear it like you can tar paper. It's very, very sturdy. Say a shingle blows off on you have a tornado or something, a good chunk of your roof blows off. You've got that felt under there, which it'll blow off too because it's not held on with cap nails. It tears easy. You have synthetic, it's going to stay on because it's tear proof and it's put down with these cap nails, big headed nails. So easier installation, easier to work off of, and a better product. So that's why everybody is going to that nowadays. I shouldn't say everybody, but most people. Like the average homeowner might go into a big box store and you still get your felt. That's readily available and they can do that, but not as good as the synthetic.
No, that makes complete sense. So, Ryan, I'll let you take this one. What Iowa-specific weather conditions tend to shorten the life of a roof?
All right. Well, it gets really hot here and it gets really cold. So we've got the extremes. So one thing you got to think about, we've been talking about ventilation and the heat from the sun and baking those shingles. So that's a very important consideration. In the wintertime, you got to make sure your ventilation's right from the cold air outside and the warm air inside, and there could be issues. But also talking about ice, rain, as long as we're talking about underlayments, I heard a story the other day from somebody that we know talking about one of the other big companies that you would have heard of in town here doing an install. I think it was out in the country maybe. And the foreman doing the job didn't have the ice guard that he needed on a low slope part of the roof. Well, instead of him saying, well, we got to stop until we get more ice guard here, he just said, well, this is what they sent me. This is what I'm putting on. Puts on just the little bit that he had, shingles the rest of it. This thing just leaks like a sieve because it's got to have ice and water shield on the whole part of the roof. So now it's a big mess, right? So that whole section, I'm not sure how big it was, but it's got to all be redone. And who knows what all got ruined inside this lady's house from leaks. So we're talking about craftsmanship. And here at Peterson Roofing, doing it for 45 years, it's not just how fast can we run a customer through and how cheap can we do this? And oh, well, if something gets ruined. Like we've talked about, Mike, I might see my customers in the grocery store because we live here, we work here, we take care of people, and we're going to do a really good job.
Yeah. You don't notice, Mike, sorry to interject here. I'm keep interjecting, but
You're fine.
Ice damming, I think, was something mentioned, which that ties right in with the ventilation, which I didn't mention earlier, the ventilation and the insulation in your attic space. Because if you're getting that warm, moist air coming up from your house, which you don't want that, you want as little as possible. But there may be areas like a scuttle door into the attic that are not insulated, or a vent in a bathroom that blows warm air up. That's going to melt the snow off your roof after a good snow and a cold period. And that snow melts, gets on your overhangs, and refreezes, and that causes an ice dam, which can lead to big problems. So if you're vented properly and insulated properly, less chance of ice damming. That's a big factor.
No, that makes complete sense. So, guys, what small maintenance tasks do homeowners often ignore that can lead to bigger roofing problems later? The little things that someone can do.
Cleaning out gutters, first thing that comes to mind for me.
Okay.
Big thing. Yeah.
How does that affect your roof?
Well, it can prevent the water from draining off. Wintertime can be a big problem, and it can lead to ice damming. So that's a big factor if you don't get them clean before winter. Summer, maybe not so much, but you can have water backing up, getting into your fascia board, getting into your soffits. I've even seen it run backwards into the wall of the house if water can't freely flow off the roof and get into your gutters and be expelled out into your yard. So that's one thing that comes to mind. Flashings, Ryan, I'm gonna let you carry on.
Flashings, I'm just making sure there are some areas, very few on a roof, but they might have some caulking on there, and caulking can wear out. We use the best you can get and it'll last a long time, but still, it's not a bad idea to every once in a while, especially if your roof's getting a little bit older, to just get eyes on it, check it out, see how everything's looking before it's had time to leak and really ruin something.
Raccoon damage every spring. You might get raccoons coming up, lifting things up. You may not even know it till a leak shows up. I've seen them rip whole vents off of houses to get inside and have their little babies in there. And then you're in big trouble. So you do want to keep an eye on that.
They are nasty little creatures, aren't they? Mm-hmm. Destructive little suckers. So let me ask you guys this. Are all 30-year shingles really the same? Or are there major differences in material and quality?
Yeah, I'll start. So 30-year shingles, that used to be the standard. Now that's not the standard. Now is a lifetime shingle, which is really 50 years. So, and are they all equal? I don't think so. I think maybe we've talked a little bit before about some of the companies that have been known for making not the greatest shingles. They've got a new shingle out now. It's amazing and promises more than the shingles that we all know and love. And they cost a little bit more. So they promise the world, but really untested. So no, I would say lifetime shingles, and everybody makes a lifetime shingle. It's the standard. They're not all the same. So go with what you know and trust and has proven itself.
Now that makes complete sense. Mm-hmm. So, guys, you guys have been doing this for a little while, a day or two. What installation details does Peterson Roofing focus on to help roofs last longer? I know there's a laundry list of them.
Well, we've been doing this. Peterson Roofing's been working 45 years installing roofs, so we know what it takes in the installation process to make sure that roof's going to hold up and not fail after 10 years. And it always comes down to how well that's installed. And then Ryan mentioned earlier, just the layout of the roof. I've seen crews will get up on a roof without what we call chalking the lines out so that everything goes on square and equal exposure for the shingles. That's critical. All of our roofs are chalked out properly. Valley installation, if that's not done right, a nail could be placed in a valley. That's the spot where two roofs come together and the water comes down in that area. If you get a nail too close to valleys, you can spring a leak. Not having proper underlayment in the valleys. We use ice guard in all valleys. And then again, where the placement of the nails, how many, and where you put them. I can tell you a quick story about a customer out in the farm where no windbreaks, just wide open cornfields, and he had 2 previous asphalt architectural style shingles put on, and he says, "I'm not doing that anymore. What can you do that's going to hold up to the winds? I get winds out here." And I looked at his roof; it wasn't nailed properly. I said, "Listen, we can put on the duration shingle. It's a 50-year shingle, and we're going to put it on properly, and you're not going to have a problem." This was 15 years ago now. I've never heard from him. His shingles have stayed on perfectly fine. And so it comes down to quality of the shingle and if they're installed correctly with the right amount of nails and in the right spot on those shingles.
Nice. Very good. So guys, let's kind of wind this up a little bit. And I know this is one of you guys' favorite parts of the podcast. So after 45 years in the roofing business, what are some examples of roofs that lasted longer than you expected? And what did those roofs have in common?
Let me go
We're
first.
not talking about the failures. We're talking about the successes.
The good ones. Let me go first. This house that I live in, that I bought, gosh, how long have I lived here now? 15 years or so? We actually had put the roof on this house back in the 90s. So when I bought this house, the owners handed me a folder with all kinds of stuff, whether it was a receipt for the garbage disposal or whatever. But in this folder was our original paper copy of a proposal from the mid 90s. I want to say it was like 95 or something like that.
Okay.
It was and the roof was great. I actually didn't replace the roof on my house up until just a couple of years ago. It was a great installation. It was a good shingle with the right ventilation. And you know, me being a roofing contractor, I would get up on my roof all the time, right? Maybe a couple times a year or stuff, checking things out. Yeah, the deck moved a little. Maybe I need a little caulk here and there, but that roof lasted 30 years. So there you go.
Still going. I mean, really, the reason you replaced it was you just wanted to update the siding. And
I was doing the siding and everything else. It was looking a little tired, but I didn't have any leaks. So there you go. It lasted.
So you did it for aesthetics over functionality.
Mostly, I could have squeaked some more life out of it, but yeah, it lasted and that would have been probably a 25-year rated shingle. It was a 3-tab.
That was a 25-year. I could throw a name out there. It was a Royal Sovereign GAF. I remember when I put it on. It was before any of us knew anything about this neighborhood where we live. We both live in the same neighborhood, but back when, before we had any clue we would live in this neighborhood, we put that roof on. Before you were probably just I would have been ready to go to college
back then. No, I was still a teenager. So there you go.
I'm getting old now.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, Jody, any examples of some that you've seen last longer than you thought you'd expect?
Longer than I thought. Well, the shingles nowadays are made so much better. And they've been out maybe 20 years. They came out with a 30-year warranty. So we haven't even reached that point. I've got roofs on that are architectural, when they came out, that are 30-year warranty shingles that are still going. I mean, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, I just don't have callbacks from them. So I'd say, I see it every day. I see it on roofs that I installed 20 years ago, still going strong. I look at them, they look like they got another 20 in them. So
nice. Well, if you do it right the first time, then you don't have to worry about it. So, all right, gentlemen. Well, thank you so much. That kind of clears up a lot of the questions that people have about the roofing installation and everything else. So, the next one, we'll make it a little more fun next time, and we'll let you guys kind of explore some of the myths that people think about roofs. So we'll get some personal input from you guys.
All right, looking forward to it.
Sounds good.
Hey, thanks for joining me today, guys. Always a pleasure talking to you.
All right, thank you, Mike.
Thanks.